Hey guys, Shmolp here, and today I am going to be teaching you a video on r15 posing. Now, I know it's been a while since I have made a video like this, but that is simply because I have not had enough time. And I know this is something that people say a lot, they're always busy doing this and that, but it's different because I promised that I would do that. And recently I posted a video that wasn't even concerning a tutorial, but was rather me having to make a video to post it on the website, which is one of my other projects I was working on. I've been working on school, my long term, making this website to make some money on the side, but I realized that I'm doing all this, but I'm not doing something that I've promised I would have done like 2 months ago or something like that. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get it done here and now, because after tonight, tomorrow, and all of this week, I'm gonna be focusing on my finals. So I just want to get as much pushed out as tonight as I can before I start focusing on my school. So anyways, I'm gonna get back into it. Today I'm going to be making a video on r15 posing, like I said at the beginning. So let's start. So this is a new Moon Animator GUI made by 6. I got the new update because I am a recognized developer in the Discord server. Let's call it R15. R15 poser. Perfect. Bam. Whoa, this is weird. And I never used this one yet, so. Okay, anyways. The thing about R15 posing is that it is actually one of the most important, if not the most important thing on making your animations look good. You know, before I actually ever started animating, I was never really aware about how much people don't even know about the body themselves. Because I was trying to teach one of my friends recently about how to animate, and I gave him a task to animate the player with their torso down, like animate them in a crouched position. And in my mind, it makes sense to make it like, you know, like this. Is lift it up, lift everything up, put the leg down and stuff like that. But what I came to realize is that most beginner animators, what they do when they're animating, well, let me make sure we got the torso. This is weird. Is that they'll try and they won't even move the torso down. They'll just lift it up. Hold on, lift it up like this. Try and extend it, then they'll like move the body thing down and stuff like that. And if they ever do move the torso down, it's always just, you know, they sit their legs out like this, or something along the lines of this. It's been a while since I started animating, but I know that I struggled with something like this very much. It took me quite a long time to actually even figure out how to properly pose, and that's the thing about my animation style, is that my animation style consists of a lot of compression and decompression, which is the act of, you know, posing. Posing is the act of compression. When your body goes down, your knees naturally bend. Now, what does bending mean? Bending means it stays in the same spot, but it just compresses downwards, like a slinky, right? So when you're animating a position like crouch, where it's actually very important to understand posing, you gotta realize, okay, what are the main factors we're doing? Well, our body is down, it's close to the floor, okay? So we get the body, and we bring it down to the floor. Now what's next? The bodies are bent. The legs are bent. But how are the legs bent? You know, people don't really take a time to realize what they do in real life. They bend their legs, but how do they bend their legs? They keep them in the same position, right? The feet don't move outwards, right? So that's why you have to keep the feet in the same spot. Let me give you an example with an animation I can make really quick. Tilly, go here, that. You see? You see how this looks natural? I mean, reckon it's not perfect because I'm just making it really quickly. But this is how compression works. Now, for a crouch, whatever, here's one of my basic rules. I explained this many times in my punch tutorial as well, but compression also applies with the arm. For example, alright, let me just restart. Whenever you're making a punch, let's just do a really quick pose real quick. Like, hold on, let me not use this new GUI. Like I said, I never used it before, so we got my punch. So what kind of stance should we be in? We should be in like a, he's about to charge up the thing. So, move it sideways. This is so weird. So, he's down. Turn him sideways because when you're punching, you're bringing your arm back. And when you bring your arm back, you want to know what else you do? You also turn your torso. Because your arm is leading your torso in the situation of a punch. For example, when you're charging a punch, you're charging your arm back. Therefore, your chest has to follow your arm. If I bring this arm back, like this, it's only natural that I also bring the torso back. Then after that, put the head forward, because the head is an individual part. The thing with beginner animators that I tend to actually see a lot is whenever they're animating anything, they treat the head as a part of the torso. Like, I'll see like a full animation that they make, and like almost the entire time their head is just always facing outwards, the direction of the torso. It's never like individual. Like, for example, in this situation right here, I want the head to be pointing outwards, but they just keep it like this. Like, they would keep it like this. Wait, gee, so weird, I'm sorry. Like this. Anyways, that stuff like that. And like I said, back to what I was saying earlier, one of my beginner rules that I've stated many times, even in the punching tutorial that I made, was, I don't know if you guys can hear the rain, by the way, but if you can, I'm sorry, is that whenever you bring back, you must also bring forward when it comes to compression. You know, if you bring your leg forward, bring it back. If you bring your arm back, bring your lower arm forward. You see, the upper parts of your body, it goes with the rules of whatever you bring the upper part of, you bring the lower, whatever you bring the upper part of back, you bring the lower part of forward. And whatever you bring the lower part of forward in the legs, you bring the, whatever you bring the upper part forward in the legs, you bring the lower part back. See? You bring that forward, you bring the lower part backwards. And it naturally goes to that same compression spot. Let me try and put this into an animation to explain it properly. So, for the base one, I will explain it like I did previously. Let me get rid of this. You see? So, we're going to make an animation 15 for no reason. Lower torso. Whatever we're crouching like I did earlier, right? Whatever the lower part, we're focused on the lower part of our body, and the rule is always, whatever you bring forward on the upper part of your legs, you must always bring back on the lower part of your legs. And that is how you properly do compression, which is like very important for posing, you know? See? And for like a punch, whatever you bring back on your upper arm, you must bring forward on your lower arm. Well, I have to show you like this. Alright, see? You're bringing it back. Compression, like that. So, let's go look at one of my animations and examine it properly. So, it's way over here, sorry. This is now I'm going to be referencing the animations I made for my brawler kit, which is purchasable for $50 if you look at my website, link in the description, as well as my portfolio. Go there too. So let's look at my M2. That's a good place to start. So brawler M2. Let's open it up and let's look at the keyframes. Actually, oh, it's over here. I got confused. My bad. So let's just look at acts of compression that we are able to find within this animation. So, see? I brought you see what I did here on my front leg at the very start? I bring my upper part, what we're going to do is we're going to focus solely on the lower part of the body. So, I, first of all, bring my upper part of my leg forward, right? Therefore, I must bring... Wait, no, I do it the other way. It might not seem like it, but right now, my upper leg is more forward than it is downward. You see? Then it's going to change when it goes right here. it may not look like it because it moved, but it actually became more downward. And since it became more downward, my lower leg became more upward. That is the art of compression, right? So let's continue. We got... right here. This is a good example as well. This leg is currently straightened, right? And I'm going to be bending down lower and turning my torso. So what I'm trying to do, I'm going to assume I'm going to do here is I'm going to bend this leg backwards like this. Because if this part drags, I want to keep it in the same spot. And what you shouldn't do to keep things in the same spot, like many beginner animators do, is they'll just move the leg and try and put it in the same spot. But what you really gotta do is you gotta focus on bending the leg. That is what gains it like realistic momentum and movement. So let's see. Yep. I just bent the leg and lifted the foot. And you notice what I did? I brought the upper part of the leg forward, and I brought the lower part of the leg backwards. Whenever you are moving a body part, you must always think about the things you are moving. And as I turn my torso back, I put it back into original position. I bring my upper part of my leg downward, and I bring the upper part of my leg downward and the lower part of my leg forwards. That's what straightens out the leg. That's what decompresses the leg. Let's do this real quick. Now let's look at my arm, alright? So what were the rules for the arm again? Whenever you bring the upper part of the arm backwards, you bring the front part of your arm forwards. That is what compresses the arm and makes things look realistic. So, we do that. So this is right here. What am I going to do right here? I'm going to extend my arm outwards to kind of direct the punch and where it's going to be. That's a good punch. That's a good idea. Fucking A. That is a good thing to note. Whenever you're doing a punch animation, always bring your opposite hand that isn't throwing the punch. Always have it at a certain moment in time directing the punch. As in, like, you keep your arm straight out. You'll see right here. I extend my arm. And this pose right here is very important. You always have this pose. Anyway, that's obviously off the topic of what I'm talking about. So what we got happening right here is wrap right here. And what I do is I use compression. So as my arm, but this is actually a unique one because rather than my arm making the moves, I'm using the torso as a way of my arm moving. Because right now my arm is following my torso, but I still apply the same, physics to my lower arm as I would if it were just my upper arm moving. So that's why as my arm moves forwards, because it's technically moving forwards, it's right here, it's going to end up, since my arm is right here, it's going to end up moving over here, right? Watch. Yeah, and after that, this part is going to be extended out, because, whatever moves forward, the other one moves backwards. Then after that, we got this part. Whenever you throw a punch, you always bring the opposite arm in and you compress it, and after you do that, you keep it there, and there's nothing else to do with it. You can turn it, but you don't have to. So there are 3 things to take away when I look at this animation. Does it bend? So whenever your torso bends in an animation, you see your legs will actually see right here's a good example. Reckon it could be I probably fix this up a little bit later, but you see how the legs bend whenever my torso goes down. That's because your legs must always 100% of the time do the compression method. Whenever your torso goes down, upper leg goes out, lower leg goes in. That's how you do proper posing, alright? And let me see if I can find another example, because whenever I made this video, I just turned on my software and I just went going. I don't script any of my stuff, so I might feel like I'm rambling, or it might seem like I'm rambling, which I am, because I feel like a freak just talking to myself right now. I don't want to say. So let me go back to opening comments. this, R15. So let's try and make a pose. So if we want to make an idle animation, alright, like a proper idle animation, what do we want? So I'm going to make 3 separate animations right now. I'm going to make a crouching. So how could crouching be made? Well, I'm going to lift up, first I'm going to crouch the player, given, right? And I'm going to turn his body sideways. Because for me, whenever I animate something, or something like this, I feel like if it's always completely straight, it defeats the sense of realism, because nothing in life is really perfect and symmetrical like that, you know? Everything's always crooked, everything's always like unique. So that's why I'm going to add a little bit of complexity to it by, you know, turning it, adding some different differentiating factors. So right now, when it comes to a pose, at the very start, if it's a starting frame, you don't have to worry too much about putting it in the same position. You can kind of make it up because, you know, you're not basing it off of a previous frame, because it's the first line of keyframes. So I'm about to, you know, yeah, and like I said, I don't normally like keeping things completely straight. For example, if I were to do that right here, like this, and just put it forward, it'd make no sense, because you have to support yourself back here. So what I could do is put this sideways, right? And get the lower leg, and since I brought the upper leg out, I'm going to bring the lower leg in. The more outwards you bring it, the more inwards you bring the lower one, you know? That's how it goes. Bring this part down, put it down like that, and this could work as a, yeah, this could work. Reckon it's not ideal, but it gets the point across. So let me just push this a little bit in more like that. Grab the foot like this. Gosh, these like frames or like hitboxes they got pretty small, so it's kind of difficult. Anyways, let's lower this a little bit like that, and let's bring the arm. Let's lift the head up, because like I said, you want the head to be an individual part apart from the rest of the body. And let's bring the arms up too. So let's just put it like this. But I brought the, oh, it's the starting frame. So whenever you're making a starting frame, it isn't, you don't have to follow the rules of compression, because you start your own frame. Those, like, you know, the, you know, arm back, lower arm forward only applies when you're going off of another animation. For example, like right now, if I bring this upper arm forward, I'll bring the lower arm backwards, because that's what makes sense, right? But not for starting pose, because that's the one you're basing it off of. The starting pose, you could make whatever pose you want, alright? The stuff I said earlier only applies to, you know, a pose that you already have. You know, line of action, which is something I'll probably discuss later after I figure out more about it. I'm not really good at discussing my thoughts, but I try it anyways because no one else is doing it, and I feel like there should be somebody that does it. So yeah, this is a little crouch animation I just made, right? A crouch pose. Posing is very important. I recommend anyone, if they want to get good at animating, just make a ton of idle animations. Make good idles, and then after that, like, animating will come naturally to you, because you'll understand, like, physics more. It's really as simple as, I don't know really how to explain it. So yeah, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the character up. I'm going to make him stand up slowly, or I'm just going to do like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make him stand up and try and put him in as a normal stance as possible. So what I'm going to do is lift up, bring him back, and there. Alright, let's start from here. So if you're uncompressing, like, now is the time you start using the things I told you about into, like, all the limbs and shit. So grab the lower leg. I'm gonna grab the lower leg, bring it downward. So whatever you bring downward with the lower leg, you bring forward with the bottom leg. Stuff like that. I have to change that because that's a little bit. But alright, so even though I did that, you still want to keep it in the same general location. So mark the place where you find it. Press B, right? That toggles your ghost rig. I got told about that keyframe. And after that, on the next frame you get, try and align it. Try and align your leg, the foot, with your foot. And that is a way to keep things from feet sliding and shit. Like this. And I can probably bring the foot down, I think. Like this. Something like that. It's not perfect, but it might work. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but it works. So, my foot right here is right there, so I want it to stay there. So what I'm gonna do, get the leg, and put the foot there as much as possible. With, you know, leg, if you bring the leg downward, bring the upper leg forward. Right here. Oh, what's my foot looking like? Oh yes, I can see it for a second. The red's all over the place, it's weird. Alright, leaning it forward. There we go. Look at that. You see how it extends properly? That's because of posing. Only good posing can accomplish smooth animations, and that's something very important to learn. Now, what are we gonna do? Oh, let me make this straighter. Alright. So what am I gonna do with the arms? Well, first of all, let's fix the head, because always make the head individual. Don't make it follow everything. See? That makes it look more normal. So now what do we do with the arms? So let's just bring them down, and since our arms are going up, what do you do when you're sitting down and you stand up? What do? Your arms extend. Like, for example, if you're kneeling down and your forearms are on your knees, when you stand up, what do? Do you keep your arms locked in the same position that they currently were and just decide to stand up? No, you kind of boost your upper torso off your legs and you go up. Well, I reckon we weren't having our forearms over our legs, but this applies to every time anyone gets up. You always must notice that their arms extend. They become straight. They don't stay curved. Unless there's certain situations, but you know what I'm talking about. So, watch. What I do is I'm going to extend my arms. Alright? Also bring them in. Bring the arms in as well, and even turn them forward like this for more dramatic. For more dramatic realism. Like this. So, hold on. Bring it out and bring it in like that. Oh, whoops! I just realized I was animating the wrong thing. Hold on, I could probably use that. Let me just put these back. Oopsies. All right, let me try and fix that real quick. I can do speed running. Speed it down. Perfect. So we get that over here, like this. Here, 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 like that. Oopsies, since it was out there, it was out kind of far. Something's kind of, the inwards is what made it look too weird. Alright, so this was accomplished by currently using my method of whatever you bring out, you bring in, whatever you bring out. With the upper leg and the lower leg regarding both. Oh my god, my rain. You guys could probably hear that, I'm so sorry. But yeah. This stuff, r15 posing, is very dominant on compression, because that is what realism, that is what all the, the rigs are necessary for. And I really don't know how long I dragged this video on for. I'm sorry. I don't even know if it was that good. I just pressed record and went for it, So I apologize if this is all over the place. And if this even helps anyone at all. I'll try again soon. I don't want to say soon, but I really do feel like I half-assed this, and I felt like I just needed to get something done. But if anyone in the comments can please just tell me things that they want done, except a walking and a running animation tutorial, I am not going to be fucking making that, okay? There are so many others on YouTube that you could find them perfectly. Like, there's so many. I'm not that guy, alright? So, anything else that y'all want to learn, I might just remake this video with a more clear mind. I might come in with knowledge about shit, but I really just pressed record and went off my brain. I don't follow a certain set of formulas or rules, so the moment I pressed record, I was like, okay, what do I think I do? What do I think I could tell everyone? And that is what I came up with. And if this helped everyone, God bless you. You're a very smart person for deciphering what I said. And other than that, see you. Thank you for sticking around. Also, check out my website. I'm selling animations, more information on my Discord as well, both which will be in the description. Alright, goodbye guys.